Hi beautiful, welcome to my channel. In today's video we are going to be playing with some indie brand eyeshadow palettes. I cannot wait to show you the looks that I did with these, the swatches that came out of these palettes. We have a fall inspired palette from Nomad Cosmetics. It is the Hudson Valley palette. We have from Fantasy Cosmetica the Bard palette, and then from Adept Cosmetics the NINHYDRIN palette. I've really been getting more and more into indie brands and their formulas and eyeshadow palettes, and I simply could not wait to show you these three palettes today. In today's video we're going to swatch each and every one of these. We're going to create a look with each and every one of these, and of course I'm going to tell you my opinion on all of them. I do have discount codes for all three of these brands. The code is the same, I think, in all of them, Patty10. So if you want to shop at Nomad Cosmetics, Adept Cosmetics, or the Fantasy Cosmetica website with code Patty10, you can get a 10% off of your order. Anyways, I'm super excited to get into these palettes and these looks, so let's just go ahead and get started. Let's begin by taking a closer look at the Nomad Cosmetics Hudson Valley palette. Take a look at the outside packaging right here. Absolutely gorgeous illustration that screams fall. And then once you open it, here is the amazing color story that it has inside. It is an extremely divided palette between cool tones and warm tones, and it is mostly matte. It's got 12 mattes total and 3 shimmers. This is the palette that I am wearing right now, and I am about to show you how I created this eye look. I went ahead and concentrated mainly on the matte side of the palette right here. I started by using the color Ghost Tour with a big fluffy REPHR number 15 brush and just kind of swiping this color Ghost Tour all throughout the crease of my eye, tapping to build some intensity and then just blending away the edges to build it up and to get that olivey look that I was looking for on my crease. I grabbed the color Farmer's Market. I switched to a REPHR number 1 brush for that because it's a little bit more pinched, a little bit more precise, and I added Farmer's Market to the outer half of my crease. I tapped the color in place and very, very lightly blended away any edges. Then with the color Mountain Hike, I continued to deepen things up even more. This one's very similar to the previous color. It just has a bit of a slight change in the undertone, which makes it look, I think, a bit more dark, and I was still using my same REPHR number 1 brush. Lastly, I grabbed a bit of a mixture between Bed and Breakfast and Farm to Table, still using my REPHR number 1 brush, and I added that to the outermost corner of my eye just to intensify the olive tones slightly. Now for my eyelid area, I started by getting the color Corn Maze, which is this really stunning green shimmer, and I put it on the edge of the matte shades. Then with the color Foliage Trail, still using my same flat REPHR number 28 brush, I added this pretty orange shade right in the center of my eyelid. And then with the color Leaf Pepping, which is this stunning gold yellowy shade right here, I went ahead and finished up the look by doing the inner third of my eyelid. Underneath my eyes, I simply used a combination of Mountain Hike and Farmer's Market with a small pointed brush, my REPHR number 3, and with the color Ghost Tour and a small blending brush, my REPHR number 13, I just smoked that out. I did also go ahead and use one of my favorite green eyeliners, which is this one right here from Glossier. This is their number 1 pencil in the shade Fresco, and so I added this eyeliner in the waterline of my eye for some intensity. And well, after some mascara and lashes, this right here is the finished look. I created this look because a while back when I first got this palette and I first played with it, I did it off camera. I was getting ready to film a different video, and I loved the way this look came out, but then in that different video that I did post, I got quite a few comments in regards to the eyeshadow look and whether or not I was going to recreate it, etc. And the truth of the matter is that I had tried to film the look, but I messed it up. I had to take it off and like start over, and so I couldn't upload it. So I wanted to make sure I recreated a very similar look for today's video when I talked about this Hudson Valley palette. Let me go ahead and show you the swatches, which I should have done before I showed you how I created this eye look. Hold on. Here's the shade Cider House, Fall Festival, and Corn Maze, which is one of the ones I'm wearing. Then we have Farmer's Market and Ghost Store. And this completes the first row of the palette. On row number 2, we have Great Pumpkin Patch. We have Apple Picking. We have Foliage Trail. The shimmers don't extend as far as the mattes, but I promise you that these are actually pretty good quality shimmers. Then we have Mountain Hike and Apple Cider Donut right here. Row number 3 starts with Oktoberfest and Wine Harvest. And then we have the last shimmer, which is Leaf Pipping. Oh, this one went a little bit further. Bed and Breakfast and Farm to Table is the last shade. So take a look right here at all of the swatches from the Hudson Valley palette. As you can see, it's a really nice, colorful color story. And at the same time, it definitely has like all of the needed fall vibes. I definitely am obsessed with the look that I created with it. However, I have to admit that this is not my favorite palette I've tried from Nomad Cosmetics, which is a huge shame because, like I said, I just love this look so much and I love the color story of this palette. My favorite part of the palette is definitely these colors right here, which were the ones I used for my looks today, but you know, we all love a warm smoky eye as well. Now, the issue I had with this palette definitely wasn't the color story. The color story is beautiful. It was the formula. I'm not gonna lie, I struggled a bit with it. Let me explain why. When I first used this palette, probably around a month ago when I first got it, I was trying to create a look similar to this one, but I was trying to incorporate a couple of the more warm shades in with the cool tone shades, and there was no way I could make that happen. Things turned muddy, things started blending away. Shit happened, okay? And I had to wipe it off. That was that look that I had to wipe off. And then I created something very similar to what you see here today with this palette. Now, even today, staying within the cool tone mattes color story, I find that the formula of the mattes in this palette, I have no issues at all with the shimmers, but the formula of the mattes in this palette is maybe like a bit too soft is the only way I could describe it, where you have to like press it in and it builds up and it looks very beautiful. But if you buff it too much, some of the shades tend to go away and then things become maybe a bit muddy, or maybe you just have to like keep building the shade up. So I was very, very careful when I did my look today, and I pressed everything in and did very minimal blending, and that seemed to work best when it comes to this palette and the formulas that it has. So while this is an absolutely stunning color story and I do really love the look that I created today, I would say proceed with caution, especially if you're someone like me. I just tend to blend and that's why I struggled with this one a bit. Just make sure that you know to tap as much as you can and then barely blend the edges, and that will work much better than swiping back and forth the way that I usually do. Take one last look at this stunning eyeshadow with the Hudson Valley palette. And let's begin with the Fantasy Cosmetica Barred palette. So like I did before, let's start by taking a closer look at what this stunning palette looks like. Just like with the Nomad Cosmetics palette, you can get 10% off of this one with code PATTY10 on their website. And of course, I will have all of these palettes with the codes and everything linked down in the description box of this video. So if you have any questions as to like what their websites are and all of that, just check the links down in the description, and the codes will also be down there. Anyways, this one's a little bit different. It has a mostly warm color story, including this olivey green shade. It's more of a neutral olive than a cool tone olive. And I'm pretty proud because I used a lot of the colors on this little palette on my eye look today. So before I tell you how I got this look, let's go ahead and go for the swatches of this one. Here's the shade Performance, which is the matte yellow color. Then we have Charismatic, which is a really beautiful eyelid shade or inner corner shade. And the color Enrapture right here, which is a stunning orange matte. Second row starts with the color Lore, which I have all over the inner part of my eyelid right now, and I absolutely love it. It's like this perfect blue-green duochrome shade. Arguably, I think it has a bit more green than blue, but it is such a stunning color. Then we have the color Legend, which is a true blue with like a dark undertone, and Mythic, which is the goldest gold of all of the golds. And as you can see, extremely pigmented. And in the last row, we have the color Inspiration, we have the color Wanderer, and the color Stories. As you can clearly see by the swatches of this Fantasy Cosmetica palette, the shimmer shades have an amazing formulation. The mattes don't swatch as impressive, but I can tell you right now I had no trouble at all getting them to do exactly what I wanted them to do. I blended them the regular way that I blend my products. Nothing went away. All of the colors that I wanted to mixed together beautifully. I really didn't have any trouble with the formulation of this palette. Have I tried better mattes before? Yes, I have, but these work just fine, and the shimmers, as you can see by my eyes and by the swatches, are totally unreal. So let me show you how I got this eyeshadow look. I first started with the color Performance on a REPHR number 15 brush, a nice fluffy brush, and I blended this color very widely, kind of all across the crease of my eye. I added a bit more as I went to build up opacity a bit, and once I was happy with the pigmentation, I moved on to the color Enrapture, which is this really beautiful orangey shade. I switched to a REPHR number 1 brush because I wanted something a bit more precise, and I blended Enrapture on the outer half of the crease of my eye into the first color that I had applied. Once again, when I was happy with the opacity, I moved on to my third and last matte, and that was the color Stories, which is this absolutely stunning burgundy. And for the color Stories, I switched my brush to my REPHR number 14 brush because I wanted a blending brush that was really teeny tiny and pretty precise. So I blended Enrapture into the rest of the colors. I think I went back with my REPHR number 1, nothing added, just whatever color was left in it to really diffuse all of the shades together, and it was finally time for the shimmer. So the first shimmer I grabbed was the color Wanderer, just because it went with the outer corner color so well, and it was a nice transition shimmer shade into the other color that I was dying to use. Anyways, I applied Wanderer with a REPHR number 2 brush, which is one of my favorite flat brushes. And then I finally went for the color that I was dying to use, which was the color Lore. I just really love the duochrome shift between green and blue in this stunning shimmer. I also applied it with my REPHR number 2 brush, and I just went back and forth on the edge of both of the shimmer colors so that they would blend nicely into one another. For my inner corner, I used the color Charismatic. I applied it using a REPHR number 26, which is this really nice soft pointed brush, and I put it on the inner corner of my eye and blended it slightly into my crease. Back with the color Stories, I needed to smoke out my lower lash line, so I used the REPHR number 3 brush and distributed it all across my under eye from outer corner to my tear duct area. And with the color Performance and my REPHR number 13 brush, I smoked out my lower lash line. And that was the last step as far as the eyeshadows were concerned. I did want to use a burgundy liner in the waterline of my eyes. So this one here is from the Il Makiage and Kathleen Lights collection, and it is a stunning burgundy liner. And of course, once I applied my mascara and put on my velour lashes, this right here was the final result. I feel like it's fall, but also a little bit colorful and fun with the green blue shade that I have on my eyelid. If I had gone for maybe like a gold or something like that, it would have been even more of a fall look. But I thought this color was way too fun looking not to play with it. Also, I didn't do that in this video, but if you combine this color with this olive green, magic is going to happen, okay? I really hope that you guys liked this eyeshadow look. Like I said, with this palette, I truly didn't have any concerns with the formula or anything like that. I honestly liked every single palette that Fantasy Cosmetica has come out with so far. I've enjoyed their color stories. This one certainly a really beautiful one for fall. And so yeah, take one last look at the makeup I'm wearing right now, because we're moving on to the Adept Cosmetics NINHYDRIN palette. So just like I've done with the previous palettes, take a look right here at the gloriousness that is the inside of this one up close. I wasn't paying attention when removing the plastic inside the palette, and all of those broken shadows are 100% my fault. Anyways, I adore Adept Cosmetics eyeshadow formulas, in particular the shimmers, and this one has so many different shimmer shades. Before we get into how I got this eye look, let's go ahead and swatch them for you. Starting with the color ACM 31, which is one of the two matte shades this palette has. Then we have ACD 18, which is a gorgeous pink shift color. I love it. I have it on my inner corner. Then we have ACI 18, which is a beautiful pink shimmer, and one of the stars of this show for sure, AC 122, which is this absolutely stunning green shade. Moving on to the second matte in the palette, which is ACM 32, and it's this really nice olivey green matte. Then we start with the softest shimmers ever with AC 119. This one is an absolutely stunning multi-chrome shade. And then starting on row number 2, I regret not using this one today because oh my god, this color is beautiful. This is a dual chrome blue purple shade. I cannot wait to use it next time. And then we have this really beautiful, very intense navy blue shimmer down here. This is AC 121. Then the color NINHYDRIN, which is this really stunning purple duochrome, and the color AC 123, which is the most stunning multi-chrome shade on the screen. Oh, never mind, you can see it. See, it's got green and pink and purple. I just love how crazy the color shifts on this shade are. Moving on to AC 124, which is a stunning duochrome teal. And then last but not least, AC 125, which is a really beautiful green shimmer. So take a look right here at the absolutely stunning color story of this NINHYDRIN palette from Adept Cosmetics, and obviously they win at shimmers. Are you kidding me? I cannot get over how shiny these are and the crazy amount of like color shifts in these formulas. And then the two matte shades that this palette has were actually also really good. I'm actually wearing them both today. So let me just go ahead and show you how I created this look that I'm wearing right now. I started with the color ACM 32, which is the olive shade, and with a big fluffy brush, my REPHR number 15 in this case, I first pressed the pigment on the outer half of my crease, and then from there I started blending the shade out, and I found that this was the best way to apply this shade rather than blending and building and blending and building. I really thought that pressing the color on and then blending it made everything so much faster. I moved on to the color ACM 31, which is this like super grayish purpley shade right here, and with my REPHR number 14 brush, which is a very, very small fluffy blending brush, I applied this color to the outer third of my eyelid, blending it up into the crease. I used the same technique because I thought it worked so well the first time. Pressed the pigment on first, and then I blended it up into the green shade with my brush, and this was super fast and very, very easy to do. I grabbed the color AC 119 afterwards with a REPHR number 2 brush, and I started pressing it on the outer half of my eyelid, but I quickly realized that the color was giving me like 20% of what it could actually look like, so I switched to my finger, and with my finger it gave me the full shine and the full intensity that I wanted. And so then with a different finger I used the color AC 122, and I just pressed this absolutely stunning duochrome green shade all over the center of my eyelid. For my inner corner I had to use a brush because my finger can't be precise in there. So I grabbed the REPHR number 28 brush and the color ACD18, which is this absolutely stunning light pinky, shifty, champagne-y shade. And I put it on the inner corner of the eye, and then I blended it in through the crease ever so slightly to define the eyelid colors a little better, and I absolutely love the effect that this gave me. Underneath the eye, I played with the same colors I had used on top. Started with the matte cool tone purpley shade with a REPHR number 3 brush and blended it on the outer half of my under eye, and then I grabbed AC122, which is the shiny green shade, and I put that one, still using my REPHR number 3 brush, on the inner half of my under eye. I blended that out with the olive green shade using a teeny tiny REPHR number 13 brush, and that kind of completed the look right there. As far as the eyeshadows were concerned, I finished things up by putting an eyeliner in my waterline. I used the color Fresco from Glossier, and after some mascara and some lashes, this right here is the final result. These lashes are Ardell Demi Wispies, not my favorites, but the ones that I had at hand. I definitely like my lashes to be a little longer. These are a bit more on the natural side, but they still look really, really nice. I think out of the 3 palettes I tried in today's video, this NINHYDRIN palette from Adept Cosmetics might be my favorite, just because I obsess over the dual chrome, multi-chrome shades that Adept Cosmetics puts into their palettes. And my only wish for this one was that if I could like perfect it or change it around or whatever, right? I would add 2 more matte shades, and I would probably eliminate this light pink shade and maybe like this green down here, since this one's so much more spectacular. And I would add a transition-y type color. I would do a cool tone one. Boring, I know, but I feel like it would make it easier to blend the colors out into a transition color. And then the other matte, I'm not sure what color it would be, but it would be one where the blues can very easily blend into that shade, because I feel like these blues might have a hard time blending into like that green over there. Maybe a bit better into the purpley shade, but I don't know, I feel like it needs another matte shade. Other than that though, and I don't need to change anything actually, this palette is beautiful. I am obsessed with the swatches that came out of this one. I love the eyeshadow look that I created today, and I can't wait to continue to use it. By the way, earlier when I was filming me doing this eye, you might have noticed that things were very bright, and that was because the window of this bedroom was open, but I couldn't get myself to close it because Cece, my dog, was sunbathing right in front of it, and it was just too cute, and I didn't want to take her away from there since it's a little bit colder today. And I figured you guys wouldn't mind. I did close it to film this part right here. Anyways, I really loved all 3 of the palettes that I got to play with for today's video. Let me know if you're getting any of these down below in the comment section. Tell me which one was your favorite. They have slightly different vibes, slightly different formulas, but honestly, all 3 of them are incredible and I highly recommend them. Remember to use code PATTY10 at checkout if you are interested in any of these. And the indie brands like have it this year. I feel like these 3 are some of the more fall inspired palettes that I've tried this season, and I absolutely love them. I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching this video. If you're new to my channel, please don't leave without subscribing, and I hope to see you back in the next one. Bye bye.